Hey, some interesting things are happening. So, in the April horoscope, one of the things that we saw for the new moon was a disruption in communications or high level security data breaches, and attacks on the internet and communications and the government and all sorts of stuff. And listen, I'm not going to lie to you, I was sweating bullets. I was sweating bullets because I'm like, because nothing happened, right? Because, like, oh my God, the internet didn't collapse, right? So, but I was not wrong. There was a huge data breach and security breach and attack on communications and sensitive information for the World Health Organization, the National Institute for Health, the Bill Gates Foundation, and a couple of other major organizations that are involved in the fight to try and remedy the situation with the coronavirus, right? So, of course, the problem is that little bit of news got buried underneath the news cycle here in the United States with, the COVID in charge and all his. I'm so ashamed to be an American right now. I really am. Anyway, so that information was drowned out by the noise of the circus we have in our administration right now. But the link to that, because this is a major thing, is in the comment section for the video, right, for the April 2020 horoscopes. Now, this video that I'm doing right now is about predictions and specifically about things that you don't see coming, right? So one of the other things that happened is a couple days before the new moon, we had oil prices globally fell to negative numbers, like literally below zero, negative zero, or negative number values per dollar, right, for barrels of oil, which is unprecedented. This has literally never happened ever in history. So it did not happen at or after the new moon conjunct Uranus. It occurred before then, right? And I didn't see this coming. And I went back and listened to the video twice to make sure I didn't miss it, right? Did not see this coming. So then I looked at the chart for the announcement of when the oil prices dropped below zero. Like this has never happened before in the history of modern civilization and fossil fuel use. Couldn't see anything in the chart. And then, of course, I looked back even further, and because the actual story, the information we need about this particular event and how this is going to go, the trajectory that this thing is on, does not occur with the event in the announcement in April, but actually started as far back as March 8th, 2020. The original oil war or oil price war that was started between Russia and Saudi Arabia was March 8th, 2020. And as it came up to April 18th, I believe it was, or 19th is when it culminated in oil prices being driven to negative numbers. That's insane. So the chart for the origins of the oil war tells us a lot about what this is about and where this might go. And it's pretty impressive stuff. But all of this was brought me to this thing about predictions, right? And because the other thing is, like, back in January, and again, all of the updates and stuff are in the comment section, so you can always go back and look there to see how these things panned out. In January, I had said that on a specific day at a specific time, something very important was going to happen, right? And the day and time I had picked was here in the United States, at whatever the time it was. Of course, the day time came and went, nothing happened here, right? However, after digging through the news, what I found, and just on a hunch, I went back and did some calculations. After they killed the general in Iraq, this administration, anyway, after they killed the general in Iraq, Iraq retaliated by firing at, without massive damage or fatalities, but as a warning shot the very next day, right? And this is huge, right? It's a huge provocative move. So if you set up the day and the time and the location in Iraq for when that assault on the military, retaliatory assault on the U.S. military bases occurred. General Soleimani, that's who it was. If you translate that day and time to Eastern Standard Time, it was the exact day and time that I had seen in the charts. So I had the right thing, just the wrong country, right? Wrong country, wrong time zone. So the thing about it is, these things are great and they seem very impressive. And, you might look at these things like, wow, my gosh. And that's the thing with astrology, right? Predictions are our bread and butter, or at least they should be. And this is typically what defines a good astrologer from, basically somebody who's blowing smoke up your butt, making you feel good about yourself. And there's a lot of that out here too. So it gave me some time to think about it. I wanted to share some stuff with you guys, right? So the first thing is, like, with predictions, like for me, predictions, this is a game I play with myself. And I do this so I can learn without having to seek out feedback from, impressionable people about their lives and how they think a prediction was accurate for them or not. Because, listen, I got news for you. Like, how accurate we think a prediction is has a lot to do with how much we like a prediction. Okay? And also it helps keep me out of the herd mentality, like the group think stuff that goes on, because the more time you spend in groups, like going over and over and over stuff with people, the more like them you start to think. And that's fine, but that's not my thing, because, most astrologers think Trump is Leo rising too. Anyway, the other thing is that for me, the benefit of predictions is that they allow me to check my ability to interpret patterns and trends as they're suggested by planetary alignments, right? So the better I get at understanding and interpreting planetary alignments and trends and then how these things are playing out, the more accurate I can be in terms of predicting what we should be seeing unfolding, right? Because remember, everything that's happening is not it's not necessarily preordained. It's not happening because of the stars. Those stars are a mirror of what's going on down here. All of these things are connected. So you're not at the helpless mercy of the stars and the cosmos. You are playing out an evolutionary game, and the cosmos is just reflecting it. It's mirroring it for you and giving you a diagram to work with if you know how to read it. So, so there's that. And, finally, like the most important thing for me, right, especially when it comes to playing these games with predictions, is that there's nothing more honest about your abilities as an astrologer or humbling about your lack of abilities as an astrologer than a prediction that's based on something objective, not subjective. Because when you start talking about objective events, right, like a Harari or a mundane event, like it either happened or it didn't. There's no way to goose that and twist words around and knead and twist and make things fit for you, right? There's no subjective interpretation of, where you described something would be that was a lost object, and it either was there or it wasn't. Okay? Mundane events, like, listen, things either happened or they didn't. There's no goosing charts. When you're dealing with people and personalities and, lives, right, and relationships, it's very easy to squeeze and juice and twist things to make them fit. It's really easy to do a lot of wordplay when you're dealing with that. But with external things, that there's no way, like, you're going to interpret your way out of this one. It either happened or it didn't, right or wrong, absolutely. So the thing that I like about predictions is that it gives you a really honest assessment about where you're at in terms of your abilities. And it has nothing to do with whether the events in question like you or not. It either happened or it didn't. So there's no personal bias involved in terms of getting your report card for this. And I like that as well. So that's the thing with predictions. And the thing that you got to understand about predictions is that predictions are not easy, and they're not fun. And as a professional, these can be absolutely dangerous to your reputation, because people will remember when you're wrong and they will never let it go, right? Never. Especially if you really go out on a limb with something. Ooh, you better be right, because if you're wrong, they will literally never let you live it down. And that's the only thing they're going to remember about you. So you made this wacko prediction, and you were wrong. So a lot of astrologers just don't. They make a lot of vague, general predictions, and that's fine, because that's not their thing. Like, they're not here to do predictions. But also, too, what it means is there's a lot of amateurs out there who think they know an awful lot, because it's really easy to flatter an ego, right? And make somebody feel good about something that they want to feel good about. People believe what they want to believe, right? And that's different from making a prediction, about something that you can't interpret to make fit. So a lot of astrologers don't do that. And to be perfectly honest, a lot of astrologers don't need to do that, because people go to astrologers for their own reasons. And it has nothing to do with predicting events that you can't control, change, avoid, or fix anyway, right? So there's that. So if you're thinking about doing astrology and you're like, ooh, I want to be able to do those kind of predictions, understand that there's a lot more going on with that on a lot of levels. So we're doing a whole lesson about predictions and this oil war thing going on, and some things to look for. It is on my Patreon for subscribers only. Sorry, folks. So if you're interested, it's there. Otherwise, hang out here, and we'll see you shortly for the May horoscopes.